All right, so today we're diving into an institution with a story that's kind of split right down the middle. On one hand, you have what looks like a beacon of medical education, but on the other, you've got some really serious public controversies. So let's try and make sense of the two faces of Amna Inayat Medical College. So this is the welcome message right from their website. And you can see it's a really powerful, polished statement, right? It's painting this picture of a top-tier place, a place that's all about excellence and creating the next generation of great doctors. This is the image they want you to see, their official face. Okay, but what happens when you start digging a little deeper? Well, you find a totally different story. And this isn't just gossip. This is stuff documented in some of Pakistan's biggest and most respected newspapers. All right, so first up, let's really dig into that official story. Let's look at how Amna Inayat Medical College, we'll call it AIMC, sells itself to potential students and, to the world. And honestly, they make a pretty convincing pitch. I mean, look at this. They're calling themselves the best college in town. They've got the accreditations, the affiliations, that's all the official stuff you want to see. But then you get to the facilities and wow, a massive 90-acre campus, a 600-bed hospital right there for training, plus separate hostels. It really sounds like the whole package, doesn't it? Like this perfect little bubble of medical learning. And the chairperson's mission statement? It just doubles down on all of that. The goal is crystal clear. We're here to create amazing doctors. So that's the promise, right? That's the vision they're selling. Okay, so now we're going to do a complete 180. Let's put all that marketing material aside for a second and look at what the public record says. And our source for this is one of Pakistan's most respected newspapers, Dawn. And wow, the difference is it's night and day. On one side, you've got the college's promise. On the other, a headline from that newspaper, Dawn. It's like two different worlds colliding. So the big question is, how do you get from best college in town to a fraud investigation? This timeline really helps put things into perspective. So the college opens its doors in 2010, but just 6 years later, in 2016, some really serious problems start popping up. We're talking about a corruption case getting sent to the FIA. That's Pakistan's Federal Investigation Agency, a huge deal. Then fast forward just 3 more years, and boom, another case hits, this one for fraud. And that leads to some major fallout, like a de-affiliation notice. All right, let's zoom in on that first big story from 2016. The whole thing was about how students were getting in. The allegation was that it wasn't just about grades. It was about cold, hard cash. So according to the report in Dawn, the PMDC, that's the Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, they did an initial look into this. And well, they found enough sketchy stuff to hand the whole case over to the FIA. You got to understand, this isn't just a small complaint. When the FIA gets involved, you know it's serious. And the numbers here, they are pretty staggering. The inquiry found that students were allegedly being forced to pay what were called donations. We're talking about up to 2 million rupees just to get a spot. That is a ton of money. And the accusation is basically that this was a pay-to-play system. So that was 2016. Now let's jump to 2019. The college is in the news again, but this time it's different. This story focused on one specific student, and that made everything feel so much more personal, and honestly, a lot more damaging. And this student's story, which Dawn laid out, it's heartbreaking. Picture this, a student pays that alleged 2 million rupee donation, plus all the regular fees. He gets in, studies for a whole year, and from what the reports say, he was a great student, even topped his exams. But then, the University of Health Sciences, the UHS, suddenly cancels his admission over a registration problem. The worst part? The college apparently refused to give the money back. So just like that, this student is out a massive amount of money and has lost 2 years of his life. It's just, wow. And the fallout from this was huge. The UHS, the university they were affiliated with, actually issued a de-affiliation notice. Now, this is not just a slap on the wrist. This is a massive deal that basically calls into question the value of a degree from this college. Okay, so we've got these two completely opposite stories, right? The shiny marketing versus the really ugly public scandals. But it makes you wonder, what was it actually like on the inside, day to day? Let's take a peek inside their teaching hospital, using their own rulebook for new doctors. And the first thing that jumps out is the tone. I mean, check this out. It's written in all caps. Please be reminded. It's intense. What this tells you right away is that this is a super strict, top-down kind of place. A junior doctor can't make a move without a senior signing off. It's all about following procedure to the letter. And that focus on procedure, it's everywhere you look. Just take a look at their protocol for when one doctor's shift ends and another's begins. It's so detailed and professional. You can't leave until the next person arrives. You have to give a thorough handover. You have to finish all your paperwork. It really paints a picture of a system that, on paper at least, is built for incredibly careful patient care.
And this chart, this really shows you how deep the training goes. It breaks down exactly what a junior doctor, a house officer, is supposed to know and when. So for something basic, like taking a blood sample from a vein, they're okay with some indirect supervision. But for something trickier, like putting in an IV line, a senior doctor has to be right there watching them. It shows a really rigorous, step-by-step approach to training.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together, because what we end up with is this really contradictory picture of a single place. It's like there are three completely different layers to the story.
You've got the promise, that perfect polished image of being the best. Then you've got the public record, full of these awful reports of corruption and fraud. And then there's the daily practice, what looks like a super professional, well-run training environment inside the hospital. The big question is, how can all three of these things exist in the same institution?
And this really brings us to a much bigger question, one that's not just about this one college, right? When you see this huge gap between what an institution says it is and what the headlines say it's done, how are you supposed to navigate that? What do you believe?
And maybe that's the key takeaway here. The story of Amna Inayat Medical College isn't a simple case of good versus bad. It's not just a good place with some bad press or a bad place with a good marketing team. It's more complicated than that. It shows us that a place can be all of those things at the same time. You can have the slick marketing pitch, the very real serious problems, and the disciplined daily routine all living under one roof. And that, I think, should make all of us think a little harder about how we view institutions in general.